We'll talk to Mike Rodak from Bama 247 coming up momentarily. But the weekend straight ahead, the holiday sales event at Courtesy GMC is going on right now. And if you've been waiting for the right time to buy, well, the time is now. How big is this sale? It's big. Try up to $15,000 off MSRP on the Sierras in stock. And they've got over 100 to choose from right now on the lot right off of I-459 exit 32 in Trustful. AT4s, Denali's, SLTs, you name it, they've got it. They're on the lot, and they're ready to roll. If you're more of an SUV person, Courtesy GMC has you covered there, too. Save thousands on brand-new Yukons, Terrains, and Acadias. And then when you buy a new GMC from Courtesy, you get that 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. That's peace of mind for the long haul. So go by and see them this weekend. Check out their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com. Courtesy GMC, where the holiday sales event is on, and the savings are real right off of I-459. Exit 32.
Our friend Mike Rodak covers the Alabama Crimson Tide. A part of Bama 247 joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline to preview the SEC Championship. Mike, happy Friday. How are you?
Doing pretty well, guys. How are you?
Pretty good. Do you have a pretty good hunch when these two teams met in Athens earlier in the season? We were going to get part 2 in Atlanta this weekend?
No, I mean, the SEC is tough these days with 16 teams and all the tiebreakers. I mean, it sometimes, like, for another game to happen like that, it's tough. So I don't want to say I'm surprised, but basically it took A&M losing to Texas, which I think even going into that game, people weren't totally expecting for this matchup to happen. So, you think maybe you see them again in the playoffs, and that's still even possible right now. I mean, they could have a third game that's entirely on the table. That third game could possibly even be in Atlanta twice in a month. So, yeah, I mean, anything's kind of possible in the playoff year. But in terms of the specific SEC matchup, at that point in the season, to see Alabama going to the SEC championship game, if you're talking about going into that game, that was a little bit hard to foresee at that particular juncture.
All right, so before we talk about the X's and O's and who potentially is going to win tomorrow's game in Atlanta, let's kind of jump ahead. Do you believe right now, where it currently stands, that Alabama is in the college football playoff, win or lose?
I don't think you can guarantee it. And I say that because I don't think the committee is guaranteeing it. Obviously, part of their rules and part of their formula is that they really can't make forward-looking statements. And I think as what's his name, the Hunter Yurachek, the Arkansas athletic director, said Tuesday night, Ward Manuel kind of aired last year when he said the idle teams can't move this last week, and they talked in the offseason about it, and they, in fact, can move. So I think just by virtue of what their rules are, they don't want to talk about what can happen next week. So that's part of it. But I also think it's hard to speak in certainties about what might happen. So I think the one scenario, or I guess the two scenarios that would leave Alabama out would be just a game where they flop and they come out super flat, national championship versus Clemson, that sort of game, where I think just the taste in everybody's mouth watching that game is such that you can't put this Alabama team in the playoff. I think it would have to be visually pretty bad. The other scenario would be Florida State, a la 2 years ago, where you have, unfortunate, obviously, an injury. So God forbid it happens, but like a Ty Simpson injury that is serious, by the letter of the CFP rules, they would have to take that into account, a team losing a key player. So those are really the two scenarios. Obviously, they're kind of on the fringe. Every Alabama-Georgia game that I've watched have been competitive, and I would expect this one to be competitive too. So as long as it's relatively close, fairly competitive, whatever, it's hard to put a number on it from a point standpoint because, games can shift in the fourth quarter. The national championship game 4 years ago was 33-18, but that game was very competitive. As long as you look like you belong on the field, I think you're in the playoff, but I don't know if you can guarantee it under every single possible circumstance in this game.
Mike, if we go back to the first matchup that we had in the regular season in late September, these two teams, they look different. How much and how has Alabama changed since that point leading into this weekend?
Yeah, I think we've all seen the defense get better, obviously from where it was week 1 against Florida State, but also even from, week 4 or 5, whatever that was against Georgia. It's a defense that has played very well down the stretch, and in some games has really carried Alabama. And so the defense has gotten better. The offense has not. I think we can all agree upon that what we've seen from the offense the second half of the season has not been nearly as sharp as what we saw before, with the caveat that they've played some really good defenses between South Carolina, LSU, Auburn, and Oklahoma. Those are all top 12, top 15 defenses in terms of the advanced stats. So, it's kind of gone two different directions, but I think from a team standpoint, they've continued to win games and learn how to win games that are close, whether it was South Carolina, Auburn. Obviously they did it against Georgia back then, Missouri. Like they kind of have this learned behavior of things aren't going well, but we're going to find a way to win. It's fourth and whatever it was in Missouri. We're going to find Latsier Brooks for a 27-yard catch. We're going to get a fumble, in the final drive against South Carolina. We're going to get an interception on the final drive against Missouri. We're going to go down and score against Auburn and then get another fumble. Like those key plays have always come, and it just seems like that's become part of their identity. So in that sense, I think they've continued to get better throughout the year, but this offense is not, to me, as sharp as it was. Like, I think that the first half of the Georgia game was kind of the peak of this offense this year. And then we saw kind of things start to come up over the second half of the season that, lead to some questions. So we'll have to see how it looks, especially with some of the, the guys that they have down. We'll have to see. I'm not really expecting Jam Miller or Josh Cuevas to be able to play. I'd be surprised, but we'll have to see what happens over the last, 36 hours here.
Well, it is interesting because, and I agree with everything you just said about the Alabama offense. It kind of peaked, and it's the last few weeks. It's been a struggle at times to not only try to run the ball, but Ty Simpson has not been as sharp as he was at the beginning of the year. But I do want to talk about Georgia for a second because when Gunnar Stockton throws for 70 yards against Georgia Tech, the Bulldogs defense is dead last in the SEC in sacks. They're not putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and that seems to have obviously disrupted Ty to the point against Oklahoma and even last week against Auburn. So how do you like that matchup with that offensive line going up against a Georgia defensive front that is not the atypical Bulldog front?
Exactly. Yeah, that's, I think, the key area where even if a shorthanded Alabama offense doesn't look sharp in this game, I don't think you have to worry quite as much about Ty taking a bunch of sacks. And that's not really what Georgia's done, even kind of in the peak of Kirby's years, when they were right at the top of the country defensively. Like, they're not a team that puts up a ton of sacks, but they're not Oklahoma. They're not going to pressure the heck out of you to where you're trying to get to your hot read every single play. So, that can be a good thing for Ty. At the same time, you give Kirby, and the Kirby's had an extra day, with the Georgia Tech game being Friday. You give him a little extra time. This is his second time around with Alabama this year. His second time around with Ty. There's plenty of film. You'd be a little bit concerned about what Kirby can do schematically to stop Alabama and what they do best, which I think Kirby's going to devote a lot of resources to stopping the wide receivers. And he doesn't have Josh Cuevas to throw to, assuming Cuevas doesn't play. You're trying to, if you're Kirby, limit Ty's options, even if you're not getting after him from a pressure standpoint. So we'll have to see exactly how Georgia plays it. And obviously Ty's a really smart guy himself, and I'm sure he'll have counters in his own head to what Kirby's doing. But, I don't know if Georgia needs a ton of sacks, but I think they need to get, if you're looking at it from their perspective, they need to get better pressure on Ty than what they did in the first game.
Mike, if you take away the quarterback position for Alabama, who is that one guy that needs to go off in Atlanta tomorrow? And for Georgia, other than the quarterback position, who is that guy that Alabama absolutely cannot get loose?
I think for Alabama, it's a big Daniel Hill game. Again, kind of operating under the assumption that we're probably not going to see Jam, even if somehow he suits up. Yeah, I just can't imagine it being a big workload. Like Daniel Hill, from a run game standpoint, but also from a passing game standpoint, if your best option based on what Georgia's running schematically is to go to your running back, then this could be a game where Hill needs to do both. So that's the player I'd look for Alabama. And again, he showed some things against Auburn, and that would give me some hope there. But For Georgia, offensively, I feel like their tight ends were very quiet in that first game, and that's still a strength of their team. They're not None of them are Brock Bowers, but they have multiple tight ends that they like to run the screens too. That the Ole Miss game in particular, I think Lawson Lucky had a touchdown at the end there. Like that would be a little bit of a concern, even if you're able to shut down Zach Branch. Alabama's corners are very good. What can the tight ends do underneath? Both Lucky and Delp. So that's kind of what I would look for. But it's an SEC championship game, and sometimes kind of strange things pop up, and different players, have good games that you're not expecting.
All right, so let's play this out. Let's say that Alabama wins the SEC championship tomorrow in Atlanta. How high do you think? I know other things have to happen in championship weekend, but how high do you think this team ultimately could be placed in the final CFP rankings with a win?
So I think they should be in the 3 to 4 range. I think unless there's a blowout in the Big Ten championship, I think it's just 1 and 2, and maybe you flip them if Indiana wins. But unless Indiana just gets completely blown out by Ohio State, I think you're still probably looking at those being 1 and 2. And to me, even though Alabama's overall resume, from a loss standpoint, it might not even be what Ole Miss's is. The fact that Alabama played in this game and in this particular scenario won an SEC championship, I think you have to put them ahead of Ole Miss. Obviously, you're putting them ahead of Georgia. You're obviously putting them ahead of A&M. So that moves them up a whole lot. I think Oregon might be a question mark, but you're probably in that 3 to 4 range with Oregon and Texas Tech, depending on the Texas Tech range. So I could say as high as 3 for Alabama, as low as 5. I still have a hard time envisioning the committee leaving the SEC out of the top 4 entirely, knowing what that drop off from 4 to 5 means, that you're playing a first round game. I just think that they're in a position where if you win this game, the SEC has to get at least one team with a first round bye. And I think it would be Alabama, obviously, as the champion.
Mike, you have been a perfect 12 for 12 in your previous predictions of Alabama football games this season. This one should be no different. What is your prediction for the SEC championship?
So I think I missed one in there.
No, you were perfect. You were perfect, I'll Mike. Go with the script.
Just because I was going to set it up and say I picked against Alabama last year in the regular season. I picked against Alabama this year in the regular season. I was wrong both times. I have prayed the rosary, and I will say that I'm picking Alabama to win this game. Look, and I think Alabama's been the underdog, 6 games in a row now against Georgia?
Yep.
I think the line has been fine all 6 of those games. Like going into those games, I think that's a fair and accurate line that Vegas has put out. 4 of those 5 games so far, Alabama has won. I think this is probably another one. Going back to what Pat was saying, I think you do have a little bit of an opportunity to not have Ty be completely pressured. I think at some point you have to hit one of those deep balls. Ty is 2 of 19 so far this year. He's one of the worst quarterbacks in the country in deep balls, but just the law of averages with the talent that you have at wide receiver, I think you hit one of those, especially in a dome with good weather.
2 of 19?
And then I think 2 of 19 on passes of 30 air yards or more. Yeah, it's pretty low down in terms of the rankings, but and then defensively, I think with the Drew Bobo injury, I think you showed that you can control Georgia's offensive line the first time. I think you do have to do better against the run with Frazier and Bowens than you did the first time. But I still like that matchup and where Alabama is defensively. So that's what I'm picking, but I don't know. It's a good game. It's a fun game. And again, I think every game that I've watched between these 2 teams has been competitive. And as long as it's competitive, no matter the result, I think Alabama's in the playoff.
That is Mike Rodak. You can follow his work all weekend long there at Bama 247. Mike, I'll see you over in Atlanta tomorrow. Look forward to it.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you. He joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
We continue the coach, Wimp Sanderson, his weekly visit presented by Craneworks next.
It is 11:18. Time to talk to Coach Wimp Sanderson, brought to you each and every week by our friends at Craneworks.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it. Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah, the big dog's got it.
Wimp Sanderson on Three Man Front is brought to you by Craneworks. Lift it, buy it, rent it. The big dog's got it. And now, Wimp Sanderson.
And the coach, Wimp Sanderson, joining us now. Presented by Craneworks on the Higginbotham Hotline. Good morning, Coach. Glad you could join us. Lane Kiffin is no longer in Oxford.
Well, yeah, that's the reason y'all tried to kick me off. It's because Lane Kiffin is not there, and y'all said get rid of a guy that makes a statement like that. Well, I got it down to two. I got rid of Florida, and I got it down to two.
You did.
LSU or Ole Miss. Well, actually, I didn't. I got it down to one. But unless he changed his mind in the next 24 hours. No, he's going to LSU. That's good, I guess. It's okay. Anyway, I apologize for missing that. And when y'all get to the blue plate today,
yeah,
both of you, neither one of you, you may be trying to be nice, but neither one of you will like it. You won't like it.
Okay.
The ultimate tease from Wimp Sanderson.
No, it is a little bit of a tease. On the basketball side, real quick before we go to football, I think it was 9-7, SEC versus ACC.
Mm-hmm.
You can count that, but that's better. A lot. ACC did a lot better at SEC. You know, Kentucky gets beat at home when they're not playing very well right now. Tennessee loses, and right now Auburn had a good win against NC State. He's done a good little job down there. Alabama has a chance to be really good. Now I know they had a 20-point lead and blew it, and everybody went goofy, but they always say they gave it up. Well, the other team got better, so that's what happened there. Well, y'all got anything you want to ask me? Or was I out?
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, this is kind of our general theme today, Coach. Asking everyone, do you think Alabama has to win tomorrow to be in the CFP?
Let me tell you what happens here. Discounting Duke and Virginia, Alabama is the only team that has two losses going into the playoffs. That bothers me. There's nobody in the Big Ten playoff with two losses. There's nobody else, but just forget Duke and Virginia. That ain't gonna count anyway. But there's nobody there with two losses. It bothers me there. I think Mike was a little kind of agreed with him. If it's a bad game and they don't play well, I'm scared for it. Now, as you said, sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. Tell our listeners what y'all think. I need to know what y'all think.
I can't see it unless Alabama just gets wiped off the field. Embarrassing fashion. Kind of like you. I think they got something to worry about there, but a close loss, I don't see them keeping them out.
Yeah. Well, I say going there with two losses already, and everybody looking at them, and I don't know. I ain't crazy about it. Pat, what you think? What do you think?
I agree with you, Coach. I think that if they come out and they're not competitive at all against Georgia, they're in deep trouble. But I maintain and I contend that they're the number one seed in the conference. They finished ahead of Georgia. They finished ahead of Texas A&M. They finished ahead of everybody. And so being the number one conference in college football, I just have a really difficult time. And I think that's why the committee did what they did the other night by putting Alabama really in a safe position based on previous years, that if they do lose, they can still make a case because Alabama was number one in the SEC.
Yeah. I don't know how many SEC. I know you're the guy that's heading it from Arkansas, the head SEC. I don't know how many SEC people on the committee, which worries me a little bit. I'm always so careful about who's on the committee because of my NCAA picks. Oh God. They gave me some booger bear. They wanted me out. They thought we was a football school when I was there. Boy, did they? Ooh. Anyway, I'm scared of stuff like that a little bit, trying to figure out exactly who be in and out. But I don't like it. I don't like it if you get beat 14-10 and you got even that, and you got a third loss. When you just look at it, it scares me a little bit. But I could be. And Alabama's got some injuries that scare me too. I know Georgia's got some too. The injury department is a little bit more scary for me for Alabama than it is for Georgia. I think we'll have an idea of really how good Indiana is, don't y'all?
Yep.
In this game,
We do.
I think we'll be able to say. We questioned the schedule last year. Then they go into Oregon and win, and we get all confused. And now they're good. The prognosticators are saying they're a lot better this year than they were last year. I think we'll get a great idea as to what kind of football team Indiana's got.
Well, one thing I know in watching that team coach, and you can probably pick up on it, they play really hard for their coach and for each other.
Yeah, they do. They play hard. He's got a big ego too.
Signetti.
Coach does. He got ego. Oh, it's okay, but he's got a big ego.
Can I ask you something, Coach?
Yeah.
Back to Alabama. Look, I know that you're not coaching the team. You don't know Ryan Williams, but just watching what you've observed and all of your coaching experience, body language, all of that, what are you guessing is going on?
Well, either they're double covering him so much the pass is not there, or he's not doing a good enough job from what he has gotten off the field. It's gotten a little bit to where he's satisfied, complacent. And it's one of those two. The double coverage is probably there. Those two kids are catching the ball. But for him to go into that game and not, when he's getting that kind of money, you got to get yourself open. Now I don't know if they're double covering him or not. Have y'all had anybody on the show that's mentioned a double coverage on him?
No,
Get the ball.
the only thing schematically people point out to us is the fact that last year he played on the outside, and this year they moved him into the slot, and that has created some issues because he obviously doesn't like to catch the ball in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I don't know. It worries me when I'm listening to him, the ball game or seeing the ball game, and he's not catching a pass at all. I don't know if I'm Alabama. I'm looking at that very strongly to see.
Well, you look at the offense a lot differently than you did in the first half of last year.
And let me tell you what else about the offense. When Ty gets out there, they get in different sets, and they show you different sets than they've been showing you. The guys that are out there in the backfield with him sometimes are misplaced, and he has to place them. Have you noticed that? And by the time he go over here, go over there, come this way, go that way, go this way. By the time he does all of that, there's 2 seconds left on the clock. And I mentioned that on my show the other day, and a guy that knows more football than I did agreed. That sometimes they're not quite ready to run what they're trying to run because the quarterback is trying to place those guys in the right positions. I don't know if y'all feel that way. You probably hadn't even noticed it, but a little bit bothers me. I think the defense at Alabama's gotten a lot better. They've worked hard at it, and it's a Reed defense, and they've done a good job there. And you've already pointed out today that Georgia's not, a team that's going to rush you as much or doesn't rush you much. I want to tell you what Georgia is. Georgia is a team that has a coaching staff. As the game goes along, it's one time that the team improves because the staff makes adjustments. Now, look, players win games, not coaches. Players win games. But when sometimes you have them in the wrong position or you need to change them to another position, I think Kirby and them do a heck of a job. Y'all comment on this, so I don't want to overdo this. But I think for lack of a better word, I think he coaches them really well during the game. What do y'all feel?
I think he coaches them really well in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I do too. I just think he does that. I think Alabama does too. I'm not saying Alabama doesn't coach it well, but I think Kirby, and of course, because Kirby's bragged on Alabama for one reason. He got beat by him about 3-0. He get his team more ready to play.
Yeah.
He'll go in there and knock the door down. Oh, he's got to brag on his opponent when the opponent just got through beating 3, whatever they beat him. he's going to knock the door down, bragging on how good they are, so his team be ready to play. So, well, the other question I want to ask you before I know I got to get off here. Miami beats Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's ranked ahead. Explain that to me, head to head.
That's
Explain it to him, Pat.
I don't know if I have enough time in the day, Coach, to kind of break that down for you. I mean, that's a mess.
Yeah, okay. I think head to head is big, the biggest, and so I don't know. Anyway, we're kind of running out of time, I guess. So Craneworks brings me to y'all every week, and I appreciate it. They'll knock it down and tear it up for you in Mobile, Birmingham, wherever it might be in the state of Alabama. They'll do a great job for you. Craneworks.com is get on there and you can see everything that they try to do to make things better. If it's rental works, you can bring the equipment to you, and they'll bring the operator with them and show you how to operate the machinery that they have, and I think that's a great way to do it. Wasteworks the same thing. They get rid of all your stuff.
Pat, Wimp really does not like his blue plate because he's going to try to get out of here without giving it to us.
Come on,
yeah,
Coach.
Crap, I got it. Yeah. Are y'all going to boo me?
No, you said we're not going to like it. We're not going to say anything. We're just going to let you,
you're not gonna
let
like
you go.
it.
Okay.
I won't take Texas Tech.
Why would I not
And
like
they're
that?
paying 11.
That's a moneymaker.
11. They're both 11. One. It's 11. It's 11.5 points, isn't it?
Let me double check.
11.5.
Coach.
Check it.
12.5.
Okay, 12.5. Okay.
Does that change your mind?
Mine was 11.5. No, I'm going to say about mine was.
Hey, if you can get Texas Tech 11.5, let me have the number. I mean, that's a whole point right there.
I think Texas Tech is just. I think they're really good. Their president and their AD said we're going to raise the money. We're going to have us a team in this league. And now BYU's good, and that's a huge game. And if BYU wins, that screws up Alabama worse.
Mm-hmm.
Because that puts 2 teams in there. So you people who are rooting, you better be rooting for Texas Tech to win the thing now. I think, and also to our listeners, if you don't like the 12.5, go the other way.
Fade him.
Go towards BYU. That way you're happy.
If BYU can't run the ball any better than they did in the first matchup, they have absolutely no chance.
No. But, 12.5 points is like cotton picking points.
That's a lot of points, Coach. And
a championship
neutral
game.
site. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sataki with a new contract, feeling good.
Yeah, y'all didn't brag on this pick like you usually did.
I'll be honest with you, Coach. It's not my favorite pick you've ever given.
I knew it. I won't think about you when I watch the game.
Please do. You can call me and dog me when Texas Tech blows them out of the stadium.
No, I'm lucky to be on the show today. I couldn't get cotton picking phone to work.
Well, we only had to call you 17 times. Finally picked up.
I was every which way. I pushed this thing through it everywhere.
You're using that old flip phone.
I let the dog bite it and everything else.
Coach, we always appreciate
right,
it. Appreciate our friends at Craneworks. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.
See ya.
All right. Guns up. Texas Tech. he likes it, kind of.
Yeah, sort of.
He was questioning it. Yeah, we'll continue 3-man front.
It is 11:36. Welcome back in. It's SEC Championship weekend, and joining us, he typically does on Tuesday. It's been a kind of a crazy schedule this week, but I'm glad that Mike Griffith from the AJC, DogNation.com, he joins us now on Three Man Front. Mike, are you over in Atlanta already? Is the buzz, is it crazy there in the wonderful city, the capital of Georgia?
I am in the Atlanta traffic right now. It's
Ugh.
always crazy, but no complaints. On my way to a great venue for maybe one of the last SEC championship games we'll see.
I want to start there, Mike. I'm glad you brought that up because based on what happens this weekend, if Alabama loses to Georgia and Alabama does get kept out of the CFP, you know what the people over here and maybe even Commissioner Sankey are going to start saying, the team that was the number one team in the SEC going into the championship game weekend and they lose and then they get kept out of the CFP. That's a major problem. You got to ask questions whether the SEC championship game is going to continue.
I don't even think that's on the table. I don't think there's any way Alabama gets short of Ty Simpson suffering an injury and Alabama losing by 4 touchdowns. I don't even think that's on the table. I think Alabama's in regardless.
Mike, this Alabama team that you saw in Athens back in the end of September, how much different did they look now heading into this weekend?
Well, I mean, the guy that made the game-saving play, LT Overton's not playing. And, Jam Miller that caught the third down conversion pass that kept the ball away from Georgia late, I guess he's questionable. I guess if he does play, he's probably going to be a little banged up. And from what I understand, the number 2 running back's out also. And the leading tight end is questionable. And I believe you got a DB that may not play. And then for Georgia, they don't have their top perimeter receiver, Colby Young. They had him the last time they played Alabama, and they don't have their starting center and their best offensive lineman, Drew Bobo, and that seemed to affect them against Tech. So, the sad part for me is that both these teams, fought their tails off to get here and earned their way here and held the standard for the SEC. And it's almost like they're being punished having to play each other again in a game that, let's face it, it's going to take a piece out of them before the playoffs.
No, you're absolutely right. And I agree with that 100%. I mean, you go through the gauntlet of the SEC, and now you got to go over there. And both programs won an SEC championship. I'm not saying that they don't want to, but when you start looking at the bigger picture, I mean, there's all sorts of problems riddled with this because of what they've got to go through tomorrow and beat each other up even more before you play in a couple of weeks.
Well, and then it just comes down to how you manage these kids, too. I mean, do you really want to ask a kid to go out there and, that's maybe in one of those gray areas of whether he can or can't play, or do you err on the side of caution because you're looking for the big prize if you're Kalen DeBoer or Kirby Smart? So that's why I said, I thought, the John Gruden video this week, I'm sure you guys saw it, and a lot of the listeners probably saw it too, but the most cognizant point is if you were to compare this to the NFL and you had the top 2 seeds in the NFC and the AFC playing while everybody else was idle, that would never fly. And you realize just how illogical this is. And look, I'm a traditionalist, but let's be real. Tradition left the room a long time ago. And now that we're going to put these teams into an NFL-style playoff and an NFL-style system, it only makes sense to take a look at what the NFL does. And if you're going to make these teams play a championship game, or if they want to, then the other teams should be playing too. I mean, you're telling me you wouldn't tune in to watch a Texas Vanderbilt game today, or a Miami game against a Miami rematch with Notre Dame for a playoff spot, or another Oklahoma Texas game, or a Vandy, game against I don't know who else is on there outside chirping. I'd sign up. And you did hear Vanderbilt say that they wanted to play Texas and have one more chance to prove themselves. So if the programs want to do it, and there's an app, people would watch it, I think this play-in weekend is going to happen. And, I used to think we'd need an in-between step where, we'll keep these conference championship games a little bit longer. But if the energy and the enthusiasm in the building this weekend is like it was last year, I think we're fighting a losing battle. I mean, look at the ticket prices. I mean, you could, ticket prices for Georgia Tech cost more than the ticket price for this game, and certainly Alabama, Georgia, and Texas, Georgia. So the ticket demand is, it's telling you. And I'll bet the TV ratings aren't as good either because now we put a bigger prize out there. So, the game's changing, and you got to make changes with it, and the coaches have to be receptive to that. But playing teams having the best teams playing a championship weekend when everybody else is idle, Gruden's right. I mean, that makes zero sense.
Mike, we had a lower scoring game in the first matchup as far as game flow and number of points. Do we get a replication of that tomorrow, or do you think maybe we get a shootout, air quotes, something in the high 20s, low 30s?
I think points are going to be hard to come by for both teams. We talked about the injuries Georgia has with Drew Bobo and their perimeter receiver Colby Young's not there. Now they have moved the ball well, but Alabama defense isn't that bad. So I think Alabama's going to challenge Gunner to throw downfield. He'll do so reluctantly when he has to. Conversely, Alabama's got to find a running game. I think Ty Simpson will take that onto his shoulders somewhat. Who knows what we're going to get from Ryan Williams? He's kind of the X factor for the Tide, I think. I mean, if he comes out of this slump, they're pretty doggone good. But if he stays in it, they're a little bit more manageable. So I think points are going to be the premium, and I think turnovers are going to decide it.
Well, we obviously know a Georgia win where Georgia is going to be on Sunday in regards to a top 4 seed. If Alabama were to beat Georgia, where do you see Alabama and Georgia fitting in the CFP mix once it's all said and done on Sunday?
Well, I don't think the committee's done a good job positioning themselves for this, but I don't know how you don't have the SEC champion get a bye, even if it's Alabama. I mean, if they're how does the best team in the SEC, if they win their championship game, not get a first-round bye? So, from a logical standpoint, you might say Oregon's got a better resume, but they didn't have the opportunity to play the extra game. And so I would reward Alabama for that, and I would give them a 4 seed. And, I did some really elaborate projections on this on AJC.com. But, guys, there's a chance Alabama and Georgia can play for a third time this year.
Are you there, Mike?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah. No, it cut out for a second. Yes, they could play a third time, correct?
Yeah, they could play a third time in the Sugar Bowl or the Cotton Bowl.
Well, that'd be fun. Sign us up. We'll do a part 3.
I mean, it is fun to watch, but I'd rather see him play other teams from other conferences. But, and you guys know the way it works, the highest-ranked SEC or Big 12 team, Big champion, that is. So I think if Alabama wins, they go to the Cotton Bowl as a 4 seed. And I think if Georgia wins, they go to the Sugar as a 2 or a 3 seed. The Big 10 winner goes to the Rose. The Big 10 loser goes to the Orange. And then Texas Tech goes to the Sugar or Cotton, depending on who wins the SEC title.
Well, it should be a knockdown, drag out. I'm like you, Mike. I think this is going to be a defensive struggle and might look a lot like what the Georgia Tech-Georgia game looked like last weekend there in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Mike, look forward to catching up with you tomorrow if you don't big-time me and you'll, come up and talk to me. You just
I'll be there, and tonight I'll be on Feinbaum at 6:15 Eastern, and I'm hoping that that's not a struggle. I never know what I'm going to get from Feinbaum. I don't know what kind of mood he's in. I'm kind of hoping that he's a little tired by that point in the show, and that he doesn't come after me if he just goes, Mike, tell me what's up, and then that'll give me the platform that I want to talk about this expanded playoff model.
I think you have just nailed the nail on the head in regards to he's going to be tired.
You bring that fire when Paul's tiring out.
Yes.
How could you not be? I mean, I don't know. I know that people have strong feelings about Paul one way or the other, but I think you would agree with me on this, Pat. For us people in the profession, he holds a ton of respect. That man works his ass off.
Absolutely.
And he exercises,
mm-hmm.
and he travels. I mean, what he does is he's the Cal Ripken of broadcasters, man, to bring the fire like he has for so many years, to travel, to do that show 4 hours a day. I mean, I really respect Paul. I number one, he's incredibly talented and entertaining, but, the durability and consistency that he has shown in our profession, it's really unparalleled in my opinion.
I agree with everything you said. You're buttering up the opponent, and it's pretty obvious today.
I'm texting him now. I'm telling him to go after you, Mike.
Well, you know what? You guys do a good job too. I don't think I've ever been on three-man front and heard you guys have a bad day. You guys are always prepared. You're ready to handle adversity, as Kirby would say. You guys are on the upward trajectory, as Kalen DeBoer would say. You guys believe in each other. You know you're a team. You know who you are.
Love it, Mike. Mike needs to negotiate our next deal.
Yes, he does.
Here at Cumulus Media.
That's right.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Hey, Mike, all kidding aside, safe
Thanks, Mike.
Safe travels in the traffic, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys. Look forward to it.
Thank you, Mike. Mike Griffith joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Where's the sharp money going in Vegas this college football weekend and NFL weekend? We'll find out next on Three Man Front. Three-man front on this Championship Friday. We got championship action tonight. Troy taking on James Madison, 6 o'clock on ESPN. Kennesaw State at Jack State, 6 o'clock CBS Sports Network. North Texas and Tulane in the American Conference Championship game, 7 o'clock kick on ABC, UNLV and Boise at 7 as well. That one on Fox. Full slate of games tomorrow. A guy that knows what's going on when it comes to college football, and especially the NFL, and he is red hot with his free picks on the air. We're talking to our buddy JR, takingvegas.com. JR, how are you?
Doing outstanding. I hope everybody had a great holiday. I hope everyone's looking forward to the big holiday coming up. More importantly, guys, big day in college football tomorrow. Boy, oh boy, it's going to be a good one. You got undefeated Ohio State taking on Indiana, who's also undefeated. That line down to 4. And, of course, the big one, SEC championship game. Georgia, 11-1, taking on 10-2 Alabama. And, obviously, this game means a ton. And here's what I'm doing. I'm giving this one to you absolutely free. I always nail, and every year, hands down, we nail these championship games. So, guys, seriously take advantage of it. It's absolutely free. It's on the recorded line, 888-994-6669. That's 888-994-6669. And you get the SEC championship game on the house. No credit card needed. You dial, and it's on the recorded line. Alabama, Georgia at 888-9-WIN-NOW.
I'm interested, JR, to get the Vegas perspective. I'm going to throw out a word, and I want you to react any way that you want to. Here's the word: officiating.
Abysmal. Awful. College football especially. NFL, college football, it's been just horrific. I've never seen it so bad. It makes me question things I've never questioned before. I will say, I feel like Major League Baseball still gets it right. I feel like even in the NHL, which, you know, they get it right. But, man, oh, man. And I haven't had a reason to complain, give me some time, yet about the basketball. But, man, oh, man, has it been bad in both college and pro football.
And how much of these plays are being reviewed, or knowing that you have the safety net of the camera has maybe lended itself to some of this?
That's what gets me, is you've got more technology today to get it right more than ever before. We used to complain about it 30 years ago, but it wasn't like it is today. It wasn't so obvious. It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm losing my mind. Maybe it's because I'm around this too much. But ever since sports books have gone legit in 40 out of 50 states, I feel like the officiating has gone just completely downhill. Does it correlate? I doubt it. But I'm just saying, I'm pointing out the obvious, something that everybody out there is talking about. And it was never in my vocabulary before, but holy cow, it is just downright wrong.
Yeah. JR, you're great with your football picks. You're also stellar when it comes to college basketball. Talk about money management and maybe merging the two and how folks can balance it this time of year.
Here's what it comes down to, right? Different sports have different strategies, and the way I approach this, just based on different times of year, I have to change gears, and I've got to, sometimes different strategies call for a different, amount of games that we're going to have. For instance, like right now, I have an individual that's been killing it in college basketball that I'm utilizing a rollover on those games. Now, we don't just roll over every game. That's downright stupid. At some point, you're going to lose a game. So you got to be smart about it. And if you're hitting, in this situation, well over 72%, I'm going to utilize a 66% strategy that is going to roll over, let's say, 3 games at a time with no risk on game number 3. And these are what we do. I mean, listen, over here at Taking Vegas, we're all about one thing, and that is not only delivering a phenomenal product, winning more than we lose, but it's really important to strategize and execute properly with each and every one of our clients. Now, granted, there are sometimes bad runs, whether it's a professional expert like myself or you on your own. And it's why, even the co-host I have or the host of the show that I'm on,
right.
Chris Hodge, guy constantly, I got to look at him and say, stop calling people morons. He constantly says, you guys, and we're not saying that people are stupid. That's the thing. My clients are smart, but, man, when it comes to gambling, people sometimes could just be dumb. They make bad mistakes, and when things are going wrong, you're making even worse mistakes, whereas with me in your ear and a real strategy behind you and just you executing with discipline, it not only makes it easier, but surely makes it a whole lot more fun.
JR, hang on. We're going to hold you through the break. We'll get to your free pick here on the air, and one more time, the phone line for that big matchup we have this weekend.